G'day guys, and welcome to a preview for Saturday Rosehill, 6th of May. Back to a bit of a more normal meeting, and back to Rosehill after the meeting at Hawkesbury last week. Rails in the true position, good for, should play a bit like old Rosehill. Inside running helps, and then getting 3 or 4 off in the straights probably ideal, but should be a reasonably fair track, you would imagine. I can't see it being too crazy biased in any way, especially rail off and down the outside fence or anything like that. If anything, it'll be a little bit of a advantage to be sort of up there as it can always be, and then getting off a little bit in the straight, and 1 out, 1 back, 1 out, 2 back's usually the best place to be. Third the fence, getting off. So first race is a good little race for the 2-year-olds. A few scratchings already coming out. There's a few more actually to come out of this. So Darhad's out, and since that's happened, also who else has come out? Ain't Smart AT's come out, and so has She Knows and Lord Cecil. So numbers are coming down in this race. Get rid of them all, sorry. There's a couple of horses in this race I was quite interested in. I thought the horses that had a preparation already in Madam Moustache and Ipso Facto, both first up, had both trialled just okay. Probably not looking to find them this time around. Ipso Facto's probably not got the right setup with the rider engagement, and again the gate probably just going to make its task a little bit tough here. The two that have, well, there's 3 that have had starts this preparation. Blonde Intuition was really impressive, running good time at Hawkesbury, dominant from the front there, been back to the trial since and done enough there. Also, both at Hawkesbury, which is interesting, comes to town for the first time, but did run a good time there and really looks a strong type that's up to it. Envy of All sat outside the leader in its 1 run out of that strong Regent race. There's also already been a few horses run since, and Easy Go, Easy Win was obviously a very unlucky second on Wednesday. Pimble's come out and was probably in the right part that day, and he's not the one that you want to sort of follow out of the race, but it did look a strong race. Sambrose run well as well on Wednesday in town, so even though this is a little step up from midweek, it looks a winnable race for this sort of grade. I am concerned that it does things really aggressively, this horse, and sort of got outside the leader there. I was surprised they sort of were a little bit aggressive on it in its first start and maybe overdid things a little bit. I can't see enough speed here for it to sort of be able to camp off them and finish off. I just see it probably racing a bit fiercely up on speed again, and maybe that last 100 metres will be of an issue again for Envy of All. So preferring Blonde Intuition to it. There's the first starters then come into play, and the horse I've been waiting for is this Poetic Charmer. It's a half to I think it was $2.5 million yearling that just went through in out of the mare Hossamore. Really like the look of this guy when we saw him live at the trials at Wyong, and this day here they ran along in front. This horse is the one running second in the Triple Crown Syndicate, and he's just allowed to finish off under his own steam here. I like how he's getting away from the rest, even though the winner's dominant. I think he could have picked him up in a stride and put him away pretty clearly. See, after the line, he's sort of there and running away. So that's only a Wyong trial, but then he came to do a 1,000-metre trial at Hawkesbury. Again, he's got a bit of pace. They're not going along fast here. Just another quiet trial. Ears pricked. Does everything really professionally. It's in the right stable for quality 2-year-olds. And I like how they again put a gap on the horses. Ears pricked. Does it easy. Once again, pretty convinced he could have put a gap on him there if he wanted to. Drawn ideally in gate 2 here now with the scratchings. He's got Blonde Ambition straight outside him. He'll probably end up hopefully in the 1 out, 1 back. I don't want to see him really, unless he crosses the inside horse third, the fence would be okay, but holding that position 1 off the rail and really in a nice spot. He's a horse I've got plenty of time for. I've got a really strong feeling he's the Snowden Brisbane Carnival horse, and if he progresses quickly, he'll get there. The two interesting other horses are definitely the Godolphin horses. We'll see here, this is ipso facto who ends up winning this trial. Backing behind, this is obviously in this race as well. And Viridine's in the black cap. Barbecue obviously won on Wednesday. Like him going forward. Like his action. How he gets down low and really tries hard. Viridine's basically climbing all over the back of them there under a little pressure. So it's an interesting horse as well. I think they're the 3 main chances for mine. Poetic Charmer, Viridine, Blonde Ambition. Siam ran behind the Mighty Fed and Debonairly first up. I thought he was in the okay. I thought he had his chance there. I think he really needs to improve to sort of get to this level. And I'm wary of Leo Gang and Manipulate as well, who've also trialled okay. But I really think this is quite a quality 2-year-old event, even though there's not a lot of form here as yet. And I really think Blondie Tuition's the one that'll get out in front and give them something to chase. And Poetic Charm is hopefully the one coming after it. They're the 2 I'll be playing here, but definitely keeping an eye on the others for the future. And should be a good contest. Race 2, it's a bit of a funky highway for me. There's not too many horses here that I've been waiting for basically to get to a highway race. You've got Atlantic Sentinel who's hard fit, 4th run in. He's run through a couple of solid enough races and then ran 4th. Every chance behind Mercurial Lad in a solid enough highway. The 2 runners I think are well suited. Basically there's not a lot of speed. I expected this Luna Duchess to pressure forward last time, and basically there was a bit of a tearaway leader there, and Rachel Murray was quiet on this horse early and really didn't get it into the right position. I'm hoping Berry pushes the button early. I think it's a pretty one-pace type, going to be suited 1300, back 1200, is it? Back to the 1200 from the 1280 last start. I'd prefer it to go faster than slower in front and really give him something to catch. I don't think there's too many that really want to run it down here. So I think if they push the button on Luna Duchess, it'll run a really positive race. This horse, Lordy, I'm always a little bit wary of Danny Williams' horses coming away from their home track. This horse resumed first up this preparation against just an even tempo. It's back in the field here, 3rd last in the screen. Pulls to the outside and sustains quite a long run. So it sort of took off at the apex and had to circle the whole field, which is not an easy thing to do, especially first up 1,300 metres. And came after them strongly, sustaining that run right to the line. Interesting to see, only off an 8-day backup, off a 1,300 metre first up runs, dropping back to 1,200 metres. You'll see he sort of took quite a long time to wind up there and get the win. So I'm not excited by him back to 1,200 by any imagination, but I think he's going to be the strong one if for some reason things are overdone in front. They're the 3 main chances for mine, and there's not a race I really want to spend too much time on. But definitely think that Luna Duchess has got a clear edge on these if they push forward and roll along. And Atlantic Sentinel and O'Lordy are the closers. But not a race I've got a huge amount of interest in and confidence in. Race 3 for the 3-year-olds. I'm not sure if there's been any more scratchings here. 1, 5 and 11. So Blanco Cara comes out. Since I did the pricing. Black on Gold and Oklahoma Girl obviously came out of that same race last start. Really slow tempo. Black on Gold was held up and very unlucky. They both get back to a dry track now. Obviously, Oklahoma Girl's been dominant off slow paces its last 2, but really strong through the line. And even though they were on sort of softish ground, she has run well on good surfaces in the past, and she's got a really good grounding for 1,800 metres round. So she's had the 1:13.50 where she was probably a good thing beaten, and then stepped straight to the mile where she's won twice. So she now goes 4th up, 1,800, dry surface, The one query for me is an inside track with Tommy on. I'm a little bit concerned about where she gets to in the run. There's not a huge amount of pressure that looks like they're going to string out too early, and he may just get caught up in there. Hopefully doesn't happen, but it is a chance. I think of the two, when you compare with Black on Gold, that extra run last time Black on Gold's basically not tested, so it's basically going up into this off basically 1.5 runs. So it's stepping up to the 1800 metres, third up with not a strong fitness base behind it. So definitely siding towards Oklahoma Girl as the two of those runs, and the horse that I'm also interested in, Siren's Fury, come off a really solid tempo and ran well against the bias at Randwick over 1400 after it had come back in trip from a second up 1600 metre run. So they probably got there a bit quick, backed it off, won over the 1400 in the Albury Guineas, then stepped back up, then went the 1400 again, closed off a fast tempo against a bias there, so they kind of evened themselves out. Then stepped back up to the mile last start. It was a huge run against a slow tempo. Now gets to 1800 metres. It's the jockey change, which I think is a positive for this horse. Josh is probably a little bit stronger later in these races, and that's going to help this horse. The one thing against is obviously the 15 gate, and it probably will be ridden quiet. But I wouldn't be surprised if the bit of pressure goes on here early with the likes of Sahara Eagle in the race, who probably is looking for a little bit more of a testing tempo compared to last time. So I think that Siren's Fury will get his chance into this race. So I think Oklahoma Girl and Siren's Fury are clearly the top two to hold out. Top of the range is a hard one to line up from Melbourne. I thought his wins are only okay, but there is some solidish form around those wins, even though he just looks a bit of a grinding type, and probably will need every chance here. Travancore is a horse that's totally enigmatic. Very hard to line up what he's going to do and what he's capable of. He was a little bit lucky to win last start, but in saying that, he would have been a tragedy beaten if he didn't get the luck at the right time, but he finished the race strongly. Sahara Eagle is a horse that can improve for mine really significantly. Innes is an interesting choice of jockey. Hopefully they roll forward and roll along, and then that'll open the race up for the other chances as well. So for me, there's two clear hopes in Oklahoma Girl and Siren's Fury. Knock out Sahara Eagle, and keeping an eye on Black and Gold and Travancore. Definitely throwing them in multis, but I just can't back them with any confidence. I do think that Octavian Augustus is a very strong query at the 1800 metres, and I'm potting that San Pablo race as the race to get the form out of. So Cross Stitch, Power Law, I'm risking them this time around. Race 4, another race with a few scratchings, so we'll check here. Only I Thought So, Military Machine out early. Zumbalina's coming off 2 forgive efforts. Not really sure what to expect there, but definitely open to improvement, getting back on this track, back in distance. Should be strong late, but not sure really where she gets to. A bit of a more a knockout horse than a good thing, sort of. Quick Feet loomed up first up after doing a few funny things early there. Dry Track's a big positive. Only 2 weeks since that run is a little bit dodgy for mine. Would have preferred another week, and obviously the rider change is a bit of an issue there. So even though she's got a few things positive, there's a few negatives, and maybe today's not the day for her as well. Calabasas is really racing quite well. Doesn't like to stick his head out too often, but hard to knock him. Does draw 13 gate here, and the Apprentice jumps on, so I'm not sure what their tactics will be and where he'll end up. Samadout resumes, trialling really well, blinkers off, has been gelded, got some pace, got a nice gate, will be thereabouts. Mercurial Lad's an interesting horse, racing really well in lesser grade than this, but going well, and I'd say he's a place chance. New Universe is a really interesting horse here. No trial since February, which is very weird for this stable. Obviously been gelded since it's come over from New Zealand. He's a 1200 metre winner there twice before stepping up to the 14, and not sure about that form. There was a big spruik on Hurry when she came over here, but didn't do a lot. But that doesn't say the form's, that horse just may have had some issues or hasn't acclimatised well here. So the one trial in February was okay, but that was nearly, 2.5 months ago. So it's quite interesting to see this horse, and betting's probably your best guide. I think Kato's ready to do something now. That was a really pretty brutally run race the other day and got left chasing a long way out, as did Pound Sterling. So I thought it was a pretty poor ride on Pound Sterling last time, and it's up around the $15 mark here. Kato about $10. I could definitely see both of those horses being players in this race, as I can with Passage of Time. Passage of Time comes out of a really strong maiden where he won the race and then stepped up behind White Moss over 1350. Ran a really good race there off a slow tempo. Because of that, I'm not so concerned about him coming quickly back to 1200. I think, with any luck, even though he's drawn wide, he can run a huge race here. He's very well suited, should be strong, and he's a nice horse for mine, and he's around the $10 mark as well. And then we go down to Kawakini, who was desperately unlucky last start. A bit of a negative rider change there, and not sure that suited by that change. So maybe needs to be risked a little bit here, because there are quite a few strong types around that they're going to be hard to run down with that rider aboard. So for me in this race, I'm leaning towards the likes of Kato, Pound Sterling, and definitely Passage of Time. Probably Passage of Time on top. They're all around the sort of $10 to $14 mark, and then there are winning chances to Zumbalina and Quick Feet and horses like that, and even Samadoubt first up. I'm betting around Calabasas, and I'm interested to see the betting on New Universe with no trial. If there's money for that horse, you've got to be saving on it at the very least. If not, I could nearly abandon the rest of the runners and have something on it, just because it's so smelly that they've decided not to trial that horse into this race. And if there is confidence, I'd say it's a pretty fair horse that we're dealing with. Race 5. Interesting race on paper. Not a great deal of tempo. There's a couple that resume that don't really want to go too hard. Signpost will probably roll forward. Careless will co-sit outside it. Kingsguard as well first up. It's probably up there as well. So Careless may even get the drop on them. Say third the fence, fourth. And it did have a tough run the other day. 3 weeks between runs should be just enough to get a bit more freshness back into the legs, and should run well from that position. The horse that I'm really scared of, and unfortunately, on the 7-day backup after it probably should have won last week, is Bed Not Blue. I highlighted during the week in a sort of a horse to follow segment. This is Blue here, stuck in behind them. What he does when he sort of balances up this last 50 yards looks really good, and if the pattern's running on here, I'd find it hard to see how they're probably going to beat him. Slow tempo can beat him, and obviously bad luck, which is his thing. He tends to run into a lot of dead ends. But if he gets the clear running and gets a shot at them, he's going to be a nightmare to hold out here. This is probably the best placed he's looked in quite a while. Berry Delicious has trialled well. Lofty's Menu was solid in the race behind Careless last up, but probably the nod to Careless, and gets the nod on the map too. Canny Essent is an interesting horse. I'm confused by them stepping up to 1350. He looks more of a sprinter to mine, sort of 1,011 to 12 at the most. But obviously from the inside gate, they've chosen to go to the 1350. And if he can hold a position, sort of third the fence, fifth the fence, he could run a really good race here. He definitely has a turn of foot on him when saved up for that. And then you've got Kingsguard resuming, no trial. 1350, he'll be up there, but did take a run last time before really improving. Believes a bit of a knockout talented horse, second up off a fast run race where it really struggled to tack on. So it's a race full of queries. I think Better Not Blue's the one that's absolutely flying well placed and just needs an even tempo to be able to try and get around them and get over the top of them. Canny Essence, obviously a query at the trip, but does look well placed, as does Careless, second up here. So a few well placed runners and then some class around it. So it's not an easy race. But definitely think Better Not Blue around the 9 to 2 mark's worth having something on, especially if the pattern of the day is sort of down the middle of that track. Race 6, and it doesn't get much easier here. Colonel Cluster first up, probably give it a wide berth unless there's really solid money for it. Dreamforce drawn terribly up in distance. One that I'm happy to risk. Chandana's the one that came back to this sort of distance bracket last start and ran well at the mile. That was a slow run mile, but she's drawn pretty poorly here. But 1,500 metres with that 17 days between runs looks like she's well placed again to run well, and they've worked her out that she's just really strong over this sort of trip. So if she can get any luck in running, she'll be right there near the finish again. Miami Dade ran into a really slow pace race first up and can improve significantly. Loves the dry track, and he's an underrated horse. Pianissimo's similar, was a little bit flat off a really strong win first up, and is a horse that can improve. Fabulon up from Melbourne is a horse I had a really good time for early in his career and looks to be coming somewhere back on track. So if it got out of 20 to 1 plus, I could entertain it. Roguish up to 1,500 is a really interesting play. The reason I can entertain him here is because he does look the leader, and if he gets away in front and could cause a nightmare to run down, he's got a bit of quality about him when he gets a few things go his way early, and that's sort of mainly tempo related. So it's a horse I could definitely entertain. Speed Hero's going well. I'm just concerned where he gets to from the gate and the change in rider. I'd probably risk him today just from where he's going to get to. And El Cid's a horse down the bottom at 50 to 1 who's going better than a 50 to 1 shot, but again is just strangely placed at the 1,500 metres here, third run back. So nothing really lines up to want to declare one here, but Chandana's the one to hold out with any luck. Miami Dade's an improver at 20 to 1, and Roguish can run a really solid race at 10 to 1, I think, if it finds the front. So they're my three main options here, with a few others that mention that can definitely improve and be in the finish. It's not a straightforward race, but it does look like there's only a few main winning chances that don't need all the luck in the world. Lord Mayor's Cup 2,000 metres is next out. Allergic 49 days, 7 weeks between runs. Had a quiet trial in the meantime and went it well enough there to suggest that she's ready to do something here. Looked like she was a bit sick of those wet tracks in that preparation after starting off her prep with a couple of nice runs. So I think she's going to appreciate getting back on. He's going to appreciate getting back on top of the ground, and can definitely sprint well fresh here over the 2,000 metres. Top of my list, does look the leader again, and really appreciated that free bowling sort of run that she had last time, and it's hard to see her not being in the finish again here if she can do anything like that. It was a big leap from what she'd done for a few runs previously, and if she can reproduce that or even better it a bit, she's going to give them something huge to chase. And I'm a little bit surprised she's $5.50, $7.50, pardon me. Here, I would have expected something more around the $5 mark. So Astronomos has looked well placed its last couple after winning off a really slow tempo, and just shows that little dash and then struggles to go on with it. I struggle to chime into him here. I think he does probably get the right run again, but he again has a bit of a negative rider change, and that's going to pull him up a little bit as well. So he's going to need a really good ride here to justify the $5 price that's on him at the moment. New Tipperary is an interesting horse. I think it may have just been a little bit, I'm not going to say overrated, because he's run okay at every start, but he's really not justifying these couple of short prices he's come up at these previous couple of runs. He'll be up on the speed and run well again, but it's basically a matter of whether it's just that they're backing him because he's coming back onto a good surface, which does look a positive thing, and he's going to run honestly again, but I'm not going to get too wrapped up in it all. Big Blue's an interesting horse. Bit of money around for him first up. Got beaten a long way on that really heavy track. Have to put a line through it. Have to forgive him and have to see what happens today. Another horse that I'd like to see money before I chimed into him. But not saying he's completely out of the race, and Happy Hannah's just that one-dimensional horse that gets well back. Last start was just had absolutely no hope against that bias. And they obviously controlled the tempo pretty well there and put her completely out of play. It does look a similar setup here as tempo-wise, but hopefully she can be a bit closer, and the good track allows her to show her turn of foot a bit more, and she is definitely the one that can improve but hard to get too excited about her at around the $5.50 mark as well. So for me, top of my list, $7.50 looks, a pretty solid option. The one that looks fairly certain to lead and run a race. There are going to be a few chases in Allergic, Astronomos, New Tipperary, and probably Happy Hannah that are all solid enough horses to worry you, but not any, and none of them are really dominant types. So I'm thinking top of my list is still the one I want to be on out of them. Hunter Jack at 60 to 1's the knockout roughie for sure from the Tim Martin yard. Race 8, 1200 metre race. Sweet Serendipity's flying. Everyone will notice pretty quickly that there is a bit of tempo here with the likes of Sweet Serendipity, Untamed Diamond, Frill Seeking's drawn wide. Ragins is going to kick up from an inside gate. Yuma Desert drawn wide. LMNOP drawn wide. Lucky Fish apparently is going to be ridden a little bit steadier here, so he probably won't take part in that speed battle, but there is quite a bit of tempo and horses that really, no one really wants that tempo for mine. So I think Sweet Serendipity might get found out here with a bit of pressure from the outside gate 61. Paint's a horse that'll probably drop in behind the tempo here and can run a race. I think 1200 suits it off a pretty solid 1,000 metre effort first up where it chased right to the line. Yuma Desert's not one of mine anymore. I think she's really found a mark, and even though she looks fairly well placed here and ran okay first up, I'm not sure where she's going to get to. Torpenhow's the interesting one for mine. $7 fresh off a couple of trials. I really think that he's well placed on that ability that everyone once thought he had. He did run okay first up last time in and ran okay again after that. And just looks well placed here. Our main boy fresh with that trials from gate 1 is a knockout hope. LMNOP, I really stressed over this horse and wasn't sure whether to give him another chance. I'm going to, because he was just had gate 1 last start and really never had a chance to go when he wanted to, and I couldn't tell whether he's in restricted room late or not. But from the outside gate this time, he gets his chance to improve. Knit and Pearl's low flying for mine. 1200 metres is her go, and she's going to be hard to beat again. I just wish maybe a senior jockey with the lightweight. I don't really see the point with claiming, but obviously there's limited options too with jockeys this time of year with them splitting between carnivals, interstate and so on. So hopefully can settle midfieldish and run a really strong race. So for me, Paint $9.50, $10 is decent value. $7 Torpenhow's the bet I really want to take part in, and I'm thinking $10, $11 about Knit and Pearl's obviously one I want to make a winner. LMNOP I'm scared of. Balmain Boy I'm throwing in as well, and even Final Decision again from the Flying Core Yard at 50 to 1 off a decent trial. He's not hopeless in a race that looks like they're going to run along in. So Torpenhow for me with Abdullah aboard. Knit and Pearl the main danger, and then out to Paint and a few others. Last race is another speed race. You've got Machine Gun Jobs, LA Cheval, Alpenrose, Magnajoy. Who else have we got there? Belle Celine. All want a part of the lead. All of them drawn fairly awkwardly, and then there's even more than them that want to race handy. Sets up really nicely for two horses of mine here. 1100 metres first up. Bonnie O'Reilly's a really classy little mare who definitely looks like she's up to a race of this grade and probably a lot better this preparation. Good place to start her off. She's drawn ideally. She'll sit off them and only need, even luck in the straight if a few of them are stopping in front of her to get clear and really rock it. In Times of War's the other obvious one that comes back from 1250 to 1100 third up. Drawn wide but should settle in behind the speed here midfield for the first time. They talked about taking a sit with her at Canterbury and just didn't get that opportunity, and if they think that that's the play and she's better ridden that way, this is the time to do it. Really, they do look for two main chances. Stablemate to Bonnie O'Reilly. Rwinda really trialled up well and probably is suited first up here from that wideish gate. If she can get the back of Times of War, she could be a nightmare to hold out down the outside late. And Machine Gun Jubs is just a quality horse. First up off a little bit of a break, 49 days again. I think a foot issue there, and then followed by having to barrier trial due to that failure on the desperately heavy track in that provincial qualifier race. So Bonnie O'Reilly clearly for me, in times of war, second pick, but I do think it's well enough found. I am scared of it though, just because it has that perfect setup. Rawinda first up at around the $12, $13 mark. You might even get better than that. And there is a horse here resuming 553 days off called Nadu, who did look like it could be anything. It's only a 5-year-old mare still, and now with Brendan Mackay at Grafton. Interesting horse, and just keep an eye on betting. If it gets out to crazy odds, just have something small on it as a saver. So going through the day quickly, I'm on Poetic Charmer at that better odds than it is currently available in the first, but I am very interested in it and think Blonde Ambition around the $5.50 mark is a strong danger and worth saving on. Race 2, I think the $3.60 is fair enough odds for Luna Duchess. I could have a play on it and probably leave the rest alone, only because I'm not too confident in the race, but I do believe it should push forward and probably is an even money chance if they do ride it to advantage tomorrow. Third race, keen on Oklahoma Girl at $4.40 and $9. Siren's Fury looks a good secondary play, and probably something around making them both a winner for a similar amount. The play I'd probably be running with there, and $26 Sahara Eagles, obviously another thing that I'm interested in playing the three of them, just in case they leave it alone in front and it runs a bold race. Race 4, Passage of Time, $10 would be my main play here. Interested in Pound Sterling at $15 and Cateau at $9.50, $10 with Crown Bet currently. Very concerned about this new universe and interested to see the betting late with it. If it's solid or firms, definitely making it a winner in a pretty tough race there, where I'm not that keen to get too involved. $5.50 Bet Not Blue in race 5 looks to play. Another race we're not hugely confident, and there's the three main chances for mine are Bet Not Blue, Careless, and Kenny Essent, all around that $4, $5 mark. So it's hard to play all three of them. Something on Bet Not Blue and hoping that you can run on there by this stage. This is a tough race. Race 6, I think Chandana deserves to be on top at $4 is probably about right. Roguish, $10 second pick, again, probably about right. $23 Miami Dade does look the value and probably the most interesting horse in the race at a price for mine, but I wouldn't be surprised if basically anything won this race. So another race I'm not getting too excited about. Same with the Lord Mayor's Cup. I can have something on top of my list at $7.50, but not a race I want to dive headfirst into in a big fashion because it's just not a clear second pick, and a moderate play on top of my list would be the option, and maybe something small on Hunter Jacket at 60 to 1, just because it seems a crazy price where not too many horses are that well set up to guarantee good runs out of a few horses. Torpenhound race 8 for mine, $7 seems really, really generous odds first up in a race with good tempo, drawn ideally Brett Navdullah to ride from a strong stable, obviously off good trials. Knit Pearls had the setup, $11, and should get the right run, but probably will need luck from that inside gate, may get a little bit lost. Paint next best around the $10 mark, Knit Pearls $11, bet 365. So three play option there. Maybe making the first two solid winners, and Paint. I'm definitely making Torpenhound a better winner than Newton Pearl, and Paint as well, a small winner maybe. Lucky last, and unfortunately they found Bonnie O'Reilly. I think they put up 9 to 2, $5.50, which was a really good price, into around the $3.70 mark now, and that seems about right. I think the stablemate Rawinda $13 is a good price, and probably just saving on In Times of War to get my money back. But I think you'll get a result out of the three of them. A little bit of a watch on Nadu first up from the long break. So that's probably how I'll be playing the day at this stage. Hopefully not too many big changes. I don't think there's any crazy wins or rain or anything like that predicted. So hopefully we have a pretty solid day and not too many surprises. I'll have a quick look at the Gold Coast. There is one horse I am interested in there in race 8 in the Guineas, and that's the Queensland Raider Heroic Valor. I think he's suited drawn wide in a race that doesn't look too deep there tomorrow. Tessera as well around the $10 mark, and I think it's around the $7 mark, but you may get better come race time. So they're the two I'm interested in, the Gold Coast Guineas, and the rest of the day doesn't look too exciting for me there. I'll have a better look through it, but other than that, thanks guys, and good luck tomorrow.